The unprecedented response to the COVID-19 crisis is giving some sustainability experts like me hope for the future. And I think COVID-19 may have unfrozen the system. I'm Glenn Hoetker. I'm a professor of business strategy and the MBS Foundation Chair in Sustainability and Business at Melbourne Business School.
This calls for unprecedented action. Governments making decisions like they never have before. We're all in this together.
The way COVID-19 has brought us together shows us what we could do to tackle climate change and make significant progress towards sustainability.
COVID-19 is shutting down whole industries, Glenn. What's the parallel there with sustainability?
COVID-19 is threatening the very existence of businesses in a big time. Share values, that ability of management to feel like it controls the outcomes, and even that idea that big companies or industries are immune from really existential threats, that's just all been walloped. And sustainability carries the same punch.
Is it possible for companies to adapt?
Well, they have to adapt. And that's one of the things we've seen, that business as usual just doesn't work in times of crisis. Now, the difference is, and the great advantage in some ways is, the crisis we're looking at in sustainability is a crisis that can be measured in years, 5 years, even a decade. So the need to respond isn't any less. The ability to make that response over time in a way that's less wrenching is still there, if we seize it while we have that advantage.
What does the COVID-19 crisis say about our ability to face up to big challenges?
I think it's actually going to be really empowering in retrospect. I mean, the next few months are going to be tough from everything they tell us, but I think we're going to come through relatively well, and that's due to joint efforts and shared sacrifice. So once you've done that, the idea that a challenge is too big to take on, that's a lot less credible. You know, if we can bend the curve on COVID in under a year, I mean, certainly we could reduce our carbon emissions in a decade, right?
Yeah, good point.
Why do you say that COVID-19 has unfrozen the system?
Because the challenge has been a frozen system. So one of the things we know in organizational change is that it can be thought of as a three-stage process. So first you have to unfreeze the current system. Then you make the transition to the desired changes. And then you freeze those new practices in place. But where we've been with sustainability is we've been trying to push on that second stage, that transition to the better practices. Well, frankly, the system has been frozen in prior practices. And so for reasons that are entirely unrelated to sustainability, that first stage has happened. These enormous disruptions have really unfrozen the current system. And so that creates an opportunity as we get back up to speed to put practices in place that are going to help us with what's frankly another substantial challenge to our healthy existence. And that's all the aspects of sustainability, from climate change to pollution to biodiversity and more.